everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We're going to be reading some Christmas books because it's Christmas Day.
I wonder what Santa brought you. The book is called Mr. Men 12 Days of Christmas. Mr. Men's 12 Days of Christmas. Mr. Men, now you and I know that Christmas is in winter, well, not for Australia. In December, the 25th of December to be exact. Mr. Model is, on the other hand, it's not like you and I. He doesn't know when Christmas is. In fact, Mr. Model has never got it right. For instance, last year he gave Mr. Lazy a football for Christmas on the 25th of July in the middle of summer. What do I mean? He can never get the right day or the right present for that matter, but Mr. Model has a plan to make sure that this Christmas will get right way, the right day. So on the 25th of January, Mr. Mole went to see Mr. Messy. Happy Christmas, he announced, giving a brand new buff. The wrong day, wrong present. Mr. Messy was honest, but Mr. Mole had a plan, and he was going to stick to it. On the 25th of February, he gave Will Miss Tiny a new pair of shoes. The wrong day and the wrong size. On the 25th of March, he gave Mr. Grumpy a joke book. Mr. Grumpy, he must be joking. On the 25th of April, Mr. Model gave Little Miss Quick a pet tortoise. He's not very quick off the mark. Observe Little Miss Quick. On the 25th of May, he gave Mr. Bumper a skateboard. Ouch! On the 25th of June, he gave Mr. Tickles a skipping rope. What a tangle! On the 25th of July, he gave Little Miss Sunshine an umbrella. I don't think she'll be needing that. On the 25th of August, Mr. Model gave Miss Quiet a drum kit. Mr. Noisy was very jealous. On the 25th of December, he gave Little Miss Twins a pair of socks. Oh, too kind, said the twins. On the 25th of October, he gave Little Miss Whoops a china vase. Whoops. On the 25th of November, he gave Mr. Mother gave Mr. Slow a sports car. Help! Mr. Model had been given wrong 11 times. So when he got to the 25th of December, the 12th day of Christmas, he was sure he was going to have the right day. He took a Christmas pudding around the neighborhood and knocked on his door. Merry Christmas, Mr. Model announced proudly to his friends. I think you're in a muddle, Mr. Model. it can't be Christmas because I'm off for my summer holiday, said Mr. Wrong.
That was a great story. Next book we'll be reading is Mr. Men, A Christmas Carol. Mr. Men, A Christmas Carol. Does Mr. Mean have any money? He has pots of it, and he keeps it all hidden under his floorboards. But does Mr. Mean spend all his money? Hardly a penny. Guess what Mr. Man has for every meal? A can of baked beans. A can of cold baked beans because he's too mean to turn the cooker on. Now, I'm sure you are wondering how Mr. Mean makes all his money. He owns a factory that makes piggy banks. And because Mr. Mean is so mean, he pays his staff hardly any money at all. And that they only get off one day off a they only get off one day of the year. Christmas Day. Mr. Mean considers this to be far too much time off. If anyone complains, then Mr. Mean points out his best worker, who has worked for him the longest, who has never complained, and who always has a smile for his boss. Look at Mr. Happy, says Mr. Mean. He works for me and he's happy. Late on Christmas Eve, after everyone but Mr. Mean and Mr. Happy had gone home, the factory received a visitor. It was little Miss Sunshine. She was there to invite the two of them to a Christmas lunch the following day. Christmas lunch, spluttered Mr. Mean. What a lot of stuff and nonsense. Before I know it, you'll be expecting me to buy presents for everyone. Humbug. What about you, Mr. Happy? Asked little Miss Sunshine, ignoring Mr. Mean's outburst. Would you like to come? Oh, I won't be able to make it, said Mr. Happy, but thanks for asking me. Never mind, said little Miss Sunshine. Have a good day and a happy Christmas to both of you. Humbug, muttered Mr. Mean as he sat counting his money. On his way home, Mr. Happy looked in the shop windows. I wish I could go to little Miss Sunshine's Christmas lunch, he murmured to himself as he gazed at a bright window display full of presents. But how can I possibly go when I can't afford to take presents for everyone? With a heavy sigh, Mr. Happy glumly trudged through the snow. That evening, Mr. Mean only had half a tin of cold baked beans because his factory was going to be closed for a whole day. It was very cold in his house, but rather than light a fire, he went to bed. Mr. Mean counted coins rather than sheep to get himself to sleep, and while he slept, Mr. Mean dreamed a very strange and troubling dream, which he met three people. The first person he met was Mr. Nosy, who showed Mr. Mean what his past Christmas day had been like. Mr. Mean was sitting all alone, no friends, no presents, and no comfortable fire, and no Christmas lunch. And then Mr. Mean saw everyone else enjoying themselves. Mr. Mean groaned in his sleep and turned restlessly under his thin blanket. The next person to Mr. Mean's dream was little Miss Wise. and she showed him what was like Christmas Day was going to be like. Mr. Mean saw Mr. Happy sitting alone and, and cold in his house eating a can of cold baked beans, and he doesn't even like baked beans. He was too poor to heat his house and too embarrassed to go to Little Miss Sunshine's house with no presents for everyone. He doesn't look very happy, does he? Observed Little Miss Wise. Not so much Mr. Happy, more like Mr. Sad. Mr. Mean moaned in his sleep and clutched his black pillow. The third person to appear in his dream was Little Miss Bossy. She showed Mr. Mean what his future Christmases had in store. A miserable-looking Mr. Happy walked through the town as this sad person greeted the other people he met on the street. Mr. Mean knows something. Everyone is calling him Mr. Sad, explained Mr. Mean. That's because he is, explained Little Miss Bossy. He isn't happy anymore now that everyone calls him Mr. Sad, and that is all your fault. With these words ringing in his ears, Mr. Mean woke up with a start. Sunlight was streaming into the cottage as he jumped out of bed. Oh my, he cried as he rushed out the door. In a great flurry of activity, Mr. Mean ran from shop to shop, pounding on the doors and making the shopkeepers open up their stores for him. Mr. Happy was just getting up when he heard a loud locking at his door. He could not believe his eyes when he opened it, nor his ears. "Happy Christmas!" cried Mr. Mean. "There's no time to waste. Quick, we're off to Little Miss Sunshine's." "But I can't go," blurted Mr. Happy. "I don't have any presents." "All taken care of," cried Mr. Mean. And do you know what? He was right. Behind him on the snowy path was a sledge laden with brightly wrapped presents. Little Miss Sunshine was overjoyed to see the two of them. Mr. Happy and Mr. Mean, rather to his surprise, had a wonderful day. Lots of friends, presents, and warm fire, and a huge Christmas lunch. "I couldn't ask for anything more," said Mr. Happy. "Thank you, Mr. Mean." You might not ask for anything more, but you're going to get it," said Mr. Mean, as he gave Mr. Happy a present. It's something to remember me by." Mr. Happy opened the present. It was a tin of baked beans. Okay, so the last book we're going to be reading is Mr. Men, A White Christmas. Mr. Men, A White Christmas. Father Christmas, as you might imagine, is very busy just before Christmas, and one of the jobs that keeps him busy is reading everyone's Christmas letters. Last year he received a letter from a little boy in Australia who had a very special wish. He wished for a white Christmas. Now, as you might or might not know, it is very hot at Christmas time in Australia, and because it is very hot at Christmas, it never snows. Said Father Christmas to himself. Now who would be the best person to help me with this wish? And so it was that Mr. Snow received a visit from Father Christmas. "Hello, Mr. Snow," said Father Christmas. "I have a job for you. A little boy in Australia called Ben has asked for a white Christmas. Do you think you can make this wish come true?" "I think I know just the right person who can," said Mr. Snow. After a moment's thought. "Excellent," said Father Christmas. "You can borrow my sleigh. It's a rather long walk to Australia." Mr. Snow packed his suitcase and set off for Australia. On the way, he picked up a very good friend of his, little Miss Magic. It took them no time to get to Australia in Father Christmas's sleigh. Ben was very excited when he saw Mr. Snow and little Miss Magic standing on his doorstep. "Hello, Ben," said little Miss Magic. "We're here to make your wish come true." "I think we need to hurry up," said Mr. Snow. "I'm starting to melt." So little Miss Magic muttered some very magical words, and suddenly the temperature dropped. Huge grey clouds rolled over the horizon, and it began to snow. Ben could not believe his eyes. It snowed and snowed and it snowed. Everywhere was covered in thick blankets of fluffy white snow. Ben ran inside to his house and put on all his jumpers. Would you like to come for a ride in Father Christmas's flying sleigh?" asked Mrs. Snow. "Yes, please," said Ben, as they climbed aboard Mr. Snow, and Mr. Snow took off. Ben looked in wonder at the snowy landscape below him. But everywhere they went, Ben began to notice the same thing. The kangaroos standing in the snowy outbush did not look very happy. The crocodiles in the icy river did not look very happy either. And everyone on the snowy beach did not look very happy. They looked very unhappy and very cold. "Oh dear," sighed Ben. "I don't think anyone else wants the snow as much as I do. I think you'd better make it all go away." So little Miss Magic muttered some more very magic words, and before you can say hello presto, the clouds had rolled away and the sun came out and melted all the snow. Ben looked sadly at the puddles on his feet, and it was then that Mr. Snow had an idea. "Why don't we fly to places where people do like snow?" "We can," cried Ben. "We certainly can," said little Miss Magic. And so she did just that. They flew to cold land and went sledging with Mr. Sneeze. They visited Mr. Bump and went ice skating. "Do you know where they have more snow than anywhere else?" Mr. Snow asked. "Where?" asked Ben. "At the North Pole," shouted Mr. Snow. "That's where Father Christmas lives," cried Ben. "Indeed it is," said Mr. Snow. And that is how the little boy from Australia found himself at the North Pole in a snowball fight with Mr. Snow, little Miss Christmas, Mr. Christmas, and Father Christmas. And what a snowball fight it was. "I'm sorry you didn't get to have a white Christmas in Australia," laughed Mr. Snow, as the snowball hit Father Christmas's chest. "But at least you did get to see one white Christmas." And white Father Christmas, we've turned him into a snowman. Thanks for reading along with us, and don't forget to have a Merry Christmas and have a wonderful day. Bye.